All right, so you want a 200. This is actually this and this come from the same customer. One of these is his buddy's, and this is one he got from, I guess, the best way to describe being an estate sale. To say that these are lightly used 200s, I mean, you have to think these have been out of production for well over 10 years. So, you know, everything's kind of suspect, even though it's in great shape, don't get me wrong. Hell, that one's still even got the paper sticker on the case. I mean, that's grandpa quality, old man quality. Both of these still have spark arresters still left in them. There's another clue that these are unicorns. So let's dig into these, do some general maintenance, and see what they're going to need to get up and running. I will tell you, typically when I see something that doesn't have a pull cord on it, means this thing's been hard to start. It's not that the cord just plain old broke. And that just makes it suspect. So I'm going to dig a little deeper into this one and figure out why somebody was pulling on it so much that they actually yanked the cord out of it. All right, so this is the one, and I'm going to try and keep this video as brief as I can. But here's what I want you to look at. If you're thinking about buying a 200, here are the usual things that I see. So here's my process of diagnostics. And this shows how good a condition this is in. This saw was manufactured in 10 of 2009. Okay, so DOM 10 of 9. This is not the one with the sticker on the front. That's that one. We'll get to it in just a second. But step one is I pulled the spark plug. It looked fine. It's actually the original, where'd it go? Bosch plug. You don't see these anymore. I took the spark arrestor out, and the screen has already been taken out of it, so it's just that little holder for the screen. So that wasn't clogged. Here's a big one. You can hear a little bit of bearing play, but it's tight. Okay, it'll be sloppy by the time the bearings and seals are shot. The next thing I went to go look at, and this is typical, this version of carburetor has its accelerator pump or accelerator circuit in it. We're going to take this foil cover off, pack it with JB, and bypass that circuit. These were known, once that circuit gets a little booger in it, to be very finicky at idle. And not surprisingly, so here, let me get you a little bit of light. This is always something to check. That line right there with the green, lime green writing on it, that's your pulse line. So that goes in through here. You can't see it from all the gook, but that goes from the crankcase to the carburetor. And so that gives you your pulse line. So every time the piston goes up and down, it goes thump, thump, thump at the carburetor, which helps move the diaphragm or the gasket for the fuel pump. All right, that line is hard. I mean, it's rubber, and it's, you know, what we say this was in 2009, so it's 13-year-old rubber. The other thing is the fuel line is hard. I mean, it's, I wonder if I can, I don't know if I can just, I'm not hitting anything but the fuel line. It's as hard as plastic. So we're going to throw a new fuel line in here, put a kit in the carburetor. I haven't even taken it apart yet, but I'm sure it's all wrinkled up. And a new impulse line. As far as the starter, this rope rotor, the rope was just wrapped around it. So, but I wanted to show you something. So if you lean on this, and we'll try to get you in even closer. So see how that walks out of the pocket. Now, what we can do is switch over to this side instead of replacing the rotor. Boy, that's hard to do. All right, and then this doesn't walk at all. So we get a little bit more life out of this spool. There's nothing else wrong with it. We're gonna put a fresh pull handle on it. The spring looks good. Air filter's seen better days. I'll throw a fresh one on. And I'm pretty sure that round O-ring that's now kind of square from being compressed is not going to hold fuel when I put it in there. All right, that was a little lofty, but that's your kind of progression of checking these out, you know. Make sure that your crank's nice and tight, because these bearings will fail after a while. They're not... here's another thing, and I don't have a spare on hand, but this AV bushing is just dying to break. You know, you can see the swelling of the rubber. It's right underneath the oil cap, so it swells, and this will just tear off. It's just glued. There's another metal piece like that down there, and it's just flat. It's just melted on there or something, bonded somehow. So when that comes loose, then your whole top handle's all floppy. So let's get some rubber bits. I haven't even tried to start this. So let me do what I think is right, and then we'll get it outside and see if we can't do some cutting with this. All right, just wanted to show you, I pried the foil off of there. And just to show you how tiny those holes are, see, I'm all zoomed in on it right there. This is like one of those steel tuning screwdrivers. So when a little booger gets into that little tiny passage right there, you're obviously going to have a low side circuit issue. I mean, supposedly it's there for improve the throttle response. I don't notice any difference at all with it blocked off. I've got this set up. We're going to do a pressure and vacuum test. When I pull the flywheel, you know, I'm looking, and it shouldn't be quite that wet around the seal. That should be a little drier, even though the rest of it's like that. So we're going to do a quick vacuum and pressure test just to make sure before we go any farther, we've got good seals. You know, again, and that's the issue. You know, you've got rubber that's 13 years old, and you know, it can only do so much. Forgot to mention, have a look at this. Zoom in a little bit more. Wait a minute, let me get this. Okay, there's a brass nipple underneath there. There's no way that was making a good seal and it was getting a good impulse to the carburetor. So before I pressured vacuum test this, I'm gonna throw a fresh piece of fuel line on it. Okay, it's holding pressure pretty nice. Let's try some vacuum. Seems to be doing good. Now, because I could hear just a little tiny bit of rattle, here's what I want to do. And this is really important. You want to make this try and fail. So I'm still at like 6.5 vacuum. I'm just going to rotate the crank around a little bit. Oh, it's got great compression. I can't even turn around by hand. But anyway, manipulating this, I'm not loosening anything. So I feel good about going forward. So these seals are still good. For how long, I don't know. They're old. But if I can't make it fail, I'm going to leave it like it is. Okay, just putting everything back together again. You know, new pull cord. We've swapped the starter pawl. New fuel line, fuel cap, fuel filter, carb kit, bulletproof. Hey, you know, just for whatever it's worth. All right, so that's got a sunshine sticker on there. Okay, don't flip that around. I mean, leave this in, because the other side of this is flat and it blocks off warm air from the engine to get in here. So if you're below 30 degrees operating temperature, or outside working in 30-degree weather, then flip this around. That'll bring a little hot air from the engine to the carburetor box. So you'll have warm air and you won't freeze up your air filter, or you run a winter filter. But that will clear up some of the curiosity of what that actually does. Leave that there. Here in South Carolina, that's not going to get flipped. So anyway, I left the spark arrestor out, did a small timing advance. Let's take this outside. Now, I have not even pulled the cord on this. I have no idea, but we'll just do it live. Typically, this should be 5 pulls from a dry carburetor, and it should pop. I've preset the carburetor where I feel like it should be, and we'll maybe have to do like a little bit of slight tuning. So here, let's take this rascal outside and put it to work. What a crappy day here in South Carolina. It's like 40 something and raining. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. And we'll throw a little bit more fuel at it. We'll cold start again. No, we still got some issues. That carburetor may be bad. Smell of the nasty ass gas was pretty strong. I cleaned the carburetor and put the kit in there. Let's dig in a little deeper.
All right, I just ran it a little bit. It seems like it's fine. Let's just cut. I don't know what's making more smoke. Me or my stove. Anyway, we're just burning some of the ugly grease off the outside of that thing. That's where all that smoke comes from. Cut some nice hard hickory right here. You didn't seem to mind it a bit. And we'll put that in the wing category, get on to the next one.